Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Strand. My name is Sabir, and I direct events here. For a little bit of history, Strand was founded in 1927 by the Bass family over on 4th Avenue's Book Row. Stretching from Union Square to Astor Place, Book Row gradually dwindled until, after over 92 years, Strand is the sole survivor, still run by the Bass family, still housing new and used books, and running near 400 events a year. Tonight, I'm excited to have with us Kim Joy, author of the brand new cookbook, Baking with Kim Joy. If you've ever wanted to know how to bring your baking to life, Kim Joy will show you how in this fun and practical book. As well as basic cake mixes, cookie doughs, fillings, frostings, and decorating techniques, she shares 40 of her wonderfully imaginative designs for ice cookie creatures, big occasion cakes, character macarons and meringues, ornate breads, and show-stopping traybakes. Joining her to discuss it is events coordinator Cynthia Gray. Cynthia is an award-winning actor and writer. Her writing has been published in Burnt Pine Magazine and the Strand Scene, and her films have been screened at festivals across the country. Her short stage play, The Postman's Letter, was produced as part of the Midtown International Theater Festival. She has also appeared in various films, TV shows, and plays. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Kim Joy and Cynthia to Strand.
Hello. First of all, I'm just going to apologize. I'm getting over a cold, so my voice is not the best. I apologize for that. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, and hi.
Have you been enjoying the city?
Yeah, it's been amazing. Mostly just been eating a lot of dessert and traveling around, just trying out different food. And that's it, really. Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations?
We've been to so many places. Let me think what was good. We had dessert at the Modern. There's like a restaurant in there, which was really, really nice. And it's all a bit of a blur to me. It'll come back to me later and I'll let you know. There's lots.
That's good, though. So what has life been like for you after Great British Bake Off?
Oh, it's been amazing. Like, I never thought it would change. I don't know, just looking at all of you guys here, I'm kind of a bit overwhelmed in a really, really good way. So thank you for coming. Yeah, it's just stuff like this that would never have happened before. So before, I don't know, it's, but now it's, you walk around and people are like, oh, hey, I know you. Or they just look at you and then look at you again. And then sometimes like people think they know me. So I think they start like saying, oh, how are you? Like they're trying to figure out where they know me from, which is really nice. So yeah.
It's delightful, though.
Yeah.
Have you been watching the current season?
Yes. Have you?
Yes.
Yes. I'm guessing most people here have as well. Yeah.
Do you have any, like, I don't know, advice for anyone who's on the show right now?
Ooh.
Or hopefuls?
Well, I know that people on the show at the moment would have filmed it all already.
Yes.
So, but I guess when you're watching it, the episodes that you're on, I don't know, it's hard because, like, it's amazing because there's so many, like, things are changing and people are recognizing you, but at the same time it's hard because of social media and people just aren't always the best on there. So I'd say, yeah, look at it a bit and try get some space from it and have your friends and people that love you around you at the same time.
That's so beautiful. I do have to ask, what happens to the leftover desserts after the judging is done?
Oh yeah, I get that question a lot. The leftover desserts, well, so the judges do all their judging stuff, and then so they're the ones which get the most praise or like a handshake. That's the ones that the crew demolish. So they all like surround it. So the crew eat most of it pretty much. And if yours doesn't get eaten, that's not a good sign. It's a bit sad, really. And then we get like a tray of all the bakes, so we get to taste our own as well. So we have them in between. There's sometimes you're so busy and you're doing lots of different interviews and stuff, so you don't really get around to eating it.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah. You try to.
Yeah. So what got you into baking?
What got me into baking? I baked a little bit as a child. I don't think I baked a lot more than normal people, but I do remember I made like mince pies, which is a British thing. So it's not, it's like we have it at Christmas, and it's mince meat, but it's not meat, it's just fruit. It's like fruit and sugar. It's like really, really sweet fruit. There's no meat in it at all, which is a bit confusing because it's called mincemeat. But yeah, I made mince pies and they're all wrapped up in pastry, which is, so I did those, and I did like pandan cake as well. And then like as I got older, I kind of like got into bread. Like bread was my thing for a while because I liked it. It's kind of relaxing and you can structure your day if you make bread. So you can, I like that I can kind of knead it, set it aside and chill out for an hour and then come back to it. But you know, like you feel productive even though you're not doing anything because you kind of are. So I like that. And then it's more like a couple of years before Bake Off that I got into the decorating side of things. So yeah, piping and making cakes and all of that.
Yeah. How did you study art? Because your decorating is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I did like a little bit at school, so like GCSEs, and I did like textiles at A-level, and that was it really. But not beyond that. And then I studied psychology. I think I had an interest in it, and I've always had an interest in like really, really like the details and things. So I guess that came out in baking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were in mental health care for a while.
Yeah.
Was there kind of a moment while doing that with and then transitioning into baking? Was there like some kind of moment where you just realized like, I actually want to do baking full time and do that more? Was there like a particular thing?
Ooh, there wasn't really a particular moment. I don't think. It was a bit more gradual. Okay. I always thought I wanted to become a clinical psychologist, and to do that, it might be different here. I'm sure you need a lot of experience here as well, but you have to get quite a lot of experience in different areas. So I was doing that and trying to get experience in different areas so I could get on a clinical psychology doctorate, which is 3 years studying. And I was working towards that, but then, I don't know, there was part of me that wasn't totally sure about doing that, and I was really enjoying baking as well, and then the Bake Off happened, and yeah, I don't know if it would have totally suited me because clinical psychology is very clinical, and I'm kind of more into the side that's not so clinical, if that makes sense. Yeah. I'm not all about yeah like that.
Do you have a favorite recipe or a favorite thing to bake now?
Ooh, favorite recipe. I like to bake new things every time I bake, so I don't have a particular favorite. Though I think the thing, the thing I find most relaxing is bread and decorating biscuits. So I guess they're my favorites in that sense. And then my favorite thing right now is probably decorating biscuits at the moment.
What is the process like for making a cookbook?
Ooh, I think I had like 3 months to do the cookbook, which isn't a lot of time. I think generally you have more time than that. But and then I guess it's different for different people, but for me it was, my editor said, we want this certain number of recipes and different categories, and she was like, oh, what are your ideas? And I wrote down I wanted to do like breads and cakes and like other stuff, and I wanted to include some vegan recipes, and then I just had some general ideas and I put them down, and she was just like, yeah, that all sounds amazing. So I guess I was really lucky. She kind of just let me do what I wanted to do. And then they gave me a lot of choices as well, so they narrowed things down. So like for the cover, I think we're choosing between like a purple background or a yellow background. But I was immediately drawn to yellow. I was like, it's got to be yellow. So yeah, it was very much less stressful than doing the bake-off. After doing the bake-off, everything becomes easy in comparison.
You didn't have Paul just like over your shoulder the entire time making all your decisions.
Yeah, it's such a relief to not have him around. Just generally.
Was there a particular recipe that did not make it into the cookbook that you wish had?
Oh, no. There actually isn't. There was a couple of recipes I was going to put in there and then didn't, but I'm not too bothered.
Could save it for a follow-up someday? Like a second cookbook someday?
Might feature in the second cookbook.
So you mentioned in the book that baking is like an escape for you. Mm-hmm. With it now being kind of more your job, is it still an escape?
Yeah, I'd say it's still an escape. I mean, in a different way, because like now it's more like my job and I do it full time. So sometimes I've got to make something to a certain specification, so I can't do exactly how I would do it, if that makes sense. Or I need to write recipes that people can follow and do at home in a reasonable amount of time. Whereas there's like projects I want to do in my head, and because I really want to do like a whole village out of biscuits. I think that'd be really fun, and like loads of different buildings. And I'd love to, because I love like long projects like that. So I'd spend like a whole week on that. But I don't have the time to do that. And yeah, so I've got to stick to writing recipes. But yeah, I still find it like relaxing, and yeah, it's just even more rewarding being able to write recipes and see people replicate it. And yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I noticed that you have like options for some of the recipes where it's like, if you have less time, do this version, which for New Yorkers, I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of wanted it to be a little bit flexible, so you don't have to do it as it says. You can kind of like just do it and don't decorate it, or do it and just decorate it completely differently if you want to. Or I've kind of put like suggestions for different ways to decorate things as well, if you wanted to kind of go down your own path. Yeah.
Yeah, you're encouraging young bakers' creativity.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
Yeah. Also in the book, you have like these little animal puns.
Oh, yes.
Did you come up with those?
I did, yeah. So I started writing them because it wasn't the plan initially to do that. But I think I had a general idea. I wanted it to be motivational in some way. And then I started writing them for different recipes. I didn't know if my editor would like them or not, so I just said, I've written these, you don't have to use them if you don't want to. They're a little bit cheesy, but I kind of like them. And she was like, I love them, you can do more of those. And then so it just became a thing.
They're so cute. Is there any baked good that you still find tricky to make?
Loads. Any bake. So I don't know. Maybe tempering chocolate. Probably my least favorite thing is tempering chocolate. Just because it takes a long time, and you kind of got to do a lot of stirring, and getting temperatures right. Yeah. Tempering chocolate. There's other things as well, but yeah. I try to focus. Whenever I try to think of the things I can't make, it's hard to think I don't know. I think I must block it out of my brain. Just helps me. It's like when people ask me mistakes and like, what's my worst baking disasters? I'm like, I can't really remember. Just try to forget about it. It didn't happen. It's fine.
It never happened.
Yeah.
Now that you're on tour, have you had a lot of time to bake?
Oh, not whilst. Oh no, I did bake a little bit in New York actually. So yeah, I've done a little bit of baking in New York, and yeah, I've been writing recipes for The Guardian as well back home. So yeah, so I do like a recipe a week, but I do them in like batches of 4. So when I get home, I'm gonna do another batch of 4 and get a couple of Halloween recipes in there as well. So I love Halloween.
Halloween's the best.
Yeah, I love how you guys really, really celebrate Halloween here as well. Yeah, I wish it was like that in the UK. We kind of are into it, but not as much as here.
Is it fancy dress? Is that?
Yeah. Fancy dress. Yeah. Well, we do like fancy dress all year round. It's like a thing.
Oh.
So it's not just at Halloween. So yeah, we have like a lot of parties and stuff where you're like, oh, it's fancy dress and there's a specific theme you've got to go as.
But that's fun. Yeah. Halloween all year round.
Yeah, all year round.
Are you enjoying your kind of like break from baking during this tour? Or are you just kind of like eager to get back?
Oh, I'm just enjoying eating. Yeah, it's good. It's nice to not bake and just eat.
That is fair. Do you have just any advice for people getting into baking, just like in general?
I'd say if you're getting into baking, I wouldn't say like, oh, you have to get into bread, or because that's the easiest way to start, or you need to start with cake or something like that. I'd say, oh, that's really. So yeah, I'd say go into the area that you find that you're going to most enjoy, that you're most drawn to, or the thing you most want to eat. That's a good start. So if it's like bread, then start with bread, but just work your way up gradually. So maybe start with a no-knead bread, and then, I don't know, do some like breads using just white flour, and then try experimenting with different flours and just work your way up. And also not be afraid of making mistakes, which is hard to, it's like the first reaction, I think, when you make a mistake is like, oh, I just want to like close my eyes and forget about it, or just put it in the bin or something. But sometimes sometimes mistakes can be like the best things that you've ever done. So I've had a couple of things in the book actually that were mistakes and actually turned out really well. And I was like, oh, that's great, because like there's a whale cake which is near the beginning of the book, and it's got like liquid glucose, sugar, shard at the top, and it's like different colours merging. But that was an accident. They were meant to be smaller and separate, because you put them on the baking tray and you put them in the oven, but I think the baking tray was slightly tilted, so they spread together. So they just naturally spread together and formed like this topper. And I thought, oh, that's amazing. Actually, I can use that and put it on top of the cake. Obviously, there's some mistakes that you can't really use so much, like if your cake burns. But you could maybe still use some bits, because you could cut the burn off and then like stack it somehow and do something with it. So you never know.
No, that's wonderful. So I guess we might turn it over to you guys right now, because I'm sure a lot of you have some questions, and there is a floating mic over here. So if anyone has a question, please go on and raise your hand, and a mic will be brought to you. Oh. Right front and center. I love it.
Hi.
Hi.
When you get an idea for a new recipe, do you have like a sketchbook that you like draw it out in and that you write all the details in, or do you just kind of go for it and just do it?
Ooh, sometimes I write some details and like sketch ideas, but generally I just kind of go for it. Like I have an idea in my mind, and I kind of go for it. And I have like a general idea, but sometimes it usually doesn't end up quite like that. But yeah.
I think we have a mic on the way.
Thank you. Hi. I've often wondered, when you're practicing at home for the next baking challenge, when you get in the tent, what was the thing that would always surprise you? Was it the speed of the oven or just the temperature in the room? What would be the things that really would throw you and the other bakers?
Ooh, God, I've got to think back to the tent, which I've not thought about that for a while.
Is that one of the things you've blocked in your memory?
Yeah, it's another one of those. Yeah, I mean, the ovens definitely is always a worry for all of us because it's not quite, I mean, after the first week, you kind of learn, like, oh, it's going to be like this. I found it's not as strong as my oven at home, but it was actually better than my oven at home. So there's a couple of bakes I did in the tent, and I was like, oh, it's so much better. Because my oven at home's got hot spots, so like I'd have to rotate things and stuff, whereas that oven just baked everything really well. So there was that, and then what else? Freezers. It's mostly just like work surface. It's not really a surprise when you get in there, but yeah, I remember the first week not being able to quite organize myself because you just it's not very much space. So I ended up just like chucking things on the floor, like get rid of that. And they tell you off, but I'm just like, where am I going to put it? Yeah, does that answer your question? Yeah.
Yeah, so things are going wrong, you need a cheerleader. Would you rather have, you're in the kitchen, things are going wrong, you need a cheerleader. Would you rather have Sandy or Noel?
Ooh, I've never been asked that before. That's a hard question. I don't know whether to just like sit on the fence with that. Sandy or Noel? I mean, I don't know, I might maybe more Noel. See, Sandy's more motherly, but I find that when people are nice to me and I'm upset, it just makes me cry. So I just don't think I could cope with Sandy being nice to me. So yeah, maybe more Noel, because he'd just maybe just do something really silly. So that made me feel better.
Hi. So it seems like a great thing to be able to practice your bakes during the week, but it also seems like a lot to juggle with your life. You know, I know a lot of folks talk about practicing 12 times or, you know, other things they were doing. So how did you manage to balance being on the show with your regular life and job?
Yeah, the show kind of like takes over your whole life, so you kind of don't really manage to balance stuff. But you kind of just have to keep going. I'm quite like, I like being quite organized, so I was very, very specific about what days I'd practice, when I'd have a break. Though towards the end it was like there's no time to rest, which wasn't great. And then if people want to hang out, just say, nope, I've got to make a cake. And yeah, just make really weird excuses generally. But people kind of, I don't know, people didn't really think twice about me going, oh yeah, I just need to make a cake. It's normal. Yeah.
I remember from in the season, you and the other bakers got along really well, but who was like the person you got along like the most with?
Ooh. I'd say probably Karen and Terry. I met Karen in my audition, and I just like, and she's like from Wakefield, which is near where I'm from in Leeds. And then I remember when I got the train down for the first week of Bake Off, I bumped into her at like King's Cross station, and I looked at her and she looked at me. And we were just hugged each other because we at that point knew we were both going to be on the show. And yeah, I was like, oh, there's a familiar face. So that was amazing. And then Terry, just because Terry's a bit like, I'm a bit more like a bit quieter, I guess, and like Terry's quite quiet and sort of likes his artsy side of stuff. So yeah, although he's like Terry's hobby, he's got like every single hobby in the world. He keeps so we've got a WhatsApp group, so I chat to everyone pretty much. And then so Terry yesterday was like putting pictures up of his like, here's my cake I casually made today, and now it looks like a dog, like a realistic looking dog. But yeah, they're all a nice bunch. I feel like we had a really, really good bunch of people.
Oh, Kim Joy, hi. Over on this side. On this side. I'm very short. It's hard to see.
Hello.
Hi.
I was like looking over this side.
I know that you enjoy board games. I was wondering if you've been to any of the board game cafes in New York, and what are your current favorite games that you're playing?
Ooh, I've not been to any board game cafes in New York. Have you got any that you'd recommend?
Hex & Company is great.
They
just opened one on the east side, and there's one on the Upper West Side as well.
Ooh.
We're all going to meet Kim Joy to play some games.
Yeah.
Just tell us when.
That'd be amazing. But no, I've not had a chance in New York. But what are my favorite games? I really like Splendor. Have you heard of that? Yeah. Which is not very exciting to describe as a game, but it's really good. It's spelt like the sweetener, Splendor. Yeah, and then like lately I've been into Dice Forge. Yeah. Which is fun. And what else? I quite like games like what's it called? The one where you all are different ghosts. You're all like seers, and somebody's died, and it's a bit like Mysterium. Yeah, that's quite. Yeah, that's a fun one. That's a fun one. Have you played it? So yeah.
Hi, I have a question about an inspiration from one of your creations on the show. It was the chocolate sphere with the turtles coming out of it, and I was wondering what your inspiration was for that piece, because it really reminded me of Terry Pratchett's Discworld.
Yeah, so quite a few of my friends are into Terry Pratchett. So yeah, how it happened, I don't, because so you get a brief, and they were like, oh, you need to do a dessert, like sharing sized chocolate melting ball. And I thought, well, it's got to be a sphere. So the thing that makes the most sense is to do a planet of some kind, and to do space and all of that, because you can't. I thought that's, kind of makes sense. And then I've been wanting to do turtles for a while, so I thought I'll just put it in there. But then, that was kind of how it happened. And I've read one Terry Pratchett book, so maybe the idea was kind of in my unconscious somehow, because it wasn't a specific thought of I'm going to make it like Terry Pratchett's thing. But then I've got quite a few friends who are into Terry Pratchett, and they were like, it reminds me of that. And I was like, oh, does it? And yeah. And then I kind of went with it. And then I think I was meant to put all the turtles inside the sphere, but on the show I forgot to put some in. So then I put them on the outside. So it was like they were holding it up, and I was like, oh no, it's even more Terry Pratchett. But I like it that it was.
Hi. Over here.
Hello.
You mentioned, your tryout. So actually, could you walk us through the process of what it's like to try out for Bake Off and how you find out you get on?
Oh, the process of applying. Ooh, are you going to apply? Is anyone going to apply? Ooh. So there's quite a few stages. So you get a telephone call, and then you get invited to another stage after that, and then at that stage they ask you to bring in a savoury bake and a sweet bake. So I think I brought in a Pikachu cake, and I did like a savoury like Caron bread wreath, and so then they chat to you there, and then there's a second half of that stage, which you might not make to the second half of that stage, or you might do. And then after that, there's the final stage, which you have to do like your first technical on camera with cameras and stuff, which I completely flopped. And also they asked you to bring in more bakes. So they kind of sample your bakes from home and then see how you operate with the cameras and stuff. But yeah, I really, really did mess up technical, so I didn't think I would get on. When I say that, I don't mean I really did badly, because I didn't know where everything was. It's even harder than a tent because you've not seen it on TV beforehand. So I was like, where's the spoons and where's this? And yeah, but I think at that point they're looking more at how you interact with the cameras rather than what you actually bake, because they know that you can bake. So it must have been entertaining somehow. That's all that I can think.
Are you timed in the technical audition part?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you're timed. Yeah. I remember because we did like rough puff pastry, which is like you gotta grate some frozen butter and some flour and then add some water to it. But I ended up pouring like a whole jug of water onto it. Right, you meant to do it gradually and then like make a dough. I just poured it all in because I was nervous. So then it was like this massive flour, and then it was floating in this water, and it just looked like a big brain. So I had to start again and start from the beginning. And I was also looking for like a cup to put my piping bags on, but couldn't find some, so I put it on a kitchen roll instead, because you can use the hole in the middle of the kitchen roll. And then like that, I dyed the whole kitchen roll, so it was like rainbow colored by accident. And then even at the end, like some of the crew were like, "What is that in that bowl?" Because the brain thing floated in the bowl, and I was like, "That was my first attempt." So yeah, technicals didn't start out for me well to begin with.
I wonder. It seems like the hosts have their on-air personas pretty well nailed down by now. Like we know how they're going to be. I wonder when the cameras are off, are they pretty close to those characters that they play? Or what's that interaction like with primarily Paul and Prue, I guess?
Yeah, I think they're pretty much like they are on camera.
So Paul is terrifying just walking around?
Oh, no, Paul and Prue. I thought you were talking about Noel and Sandy.
Oh, no, I meant Paul and Prue.
Paul and Prue. Okay, no, Noel and Sandy, yeah, they're like they are on camera. But Paul, I actually never spoke to Paul off camera. So I don't know. Prue, yeah, I think Prue's pretty much how she comes across. So sometimes when it's edited, I'm like, oh, that comes across really harsh, Prue, but I didn't remember her being harsh when she was there. So, but yeah, Prue was nice and chill. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm next. First of all, I'm your best friend, just so you know.
Thanks.
I probably posted so many times on Instagram. So yesterday you posted about mental health awareness, and I work in mental health as well. Hopefully not for long though, because it is like tiring and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I noticed like after your season, I started baking just to like help with depression and stuff like that. So I wondered like what kind of things you go to kind of get your get your spirits up and everything. Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know. Like I was kind of like, I like having a down day every so often. That doesn't really get my spirits up, but I like factoring in, or I like being really organized. That helps me manage how I feel. So I like to organize, like this is my day that I'm not going to do anything, but then I like to plan things in for other days so that I am being productive. And I find that baking does really help with that, because you can, like I was saying about bread, it really structures your day. And even if so I do this thing where I trick myself. So if I'm, like some mornings you wake up and you're like, I really can't be bothered to bake anything or do anything. And just somebody saying to you, oh, just bake something and you'll feel better. It's just like, well, actually, really, I don't want to do that. But like sometimes I try to trick myself. So I say like, okay, well, all I'm going to do today is like mix some butter and sugar, and then I'm going to sit down for a cup of tea for 2 hours and chill out. And then I do that. But what I usually find is I just get into it, and then it just all follows from there, and I end up doing more. and then I'm like shattered at the end of it, and I'm like, oh, I've done a bit too much. Try trick myself a little bit, and do a bit of baking. And then I enjoy doing biscuit decorating as well, so I find it really relaxing. Yeah.
Hello.
Does that answer your question?
Hello. Over here. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. I'm thinking about getting into baking, but the thing that makes me most nervous is after baking, we got to clean up. So.
Oh yeah.
How do you cope with that, and who does it at home?
Well, in the tent it was amazing because they just clear up for you. But at home, I don't really like the tidying, but who does? So I create a lot of mess when I work, and I work on the floor as well, which also doesn't help because like I'll mess up the surfaces and then I'll mess up the floor, and then it's even worse. And then my partner Nabil, who's in the corner, helps me tidy up sometimes, so he's amazing. He laughs at me because he says I try to set traps around the house for him because I bake on the floor and I leave things lying around like scissors. Don't know. He helps me tidy up occasionally.
Real quick, are you wearing an outside Xbox shirt? That's amazing.
Oh, well spotted.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
You said that you did A-level textiles. What does that mean?
Oh, do you not have text? Oh, you mean like A-level or text? Which bit?
Both bits together.
Oh. So yes, you don't. Oh yeah, so we do GCSEs. What do you do here at secondary school, high school?
SATs.
GCSEs. No.
I'm not sure.
And then A-levels, what you?
Yeah, is that an exam or
exams?
SAT.
We do SATs too. And then we do GCSEs.
I think they're like APs.
GCSEs you do when you're 16.
Yeah, 16.
You can leave school if you want, or you can stay on and do another 2 years, different courses called A-level.
That's it.
So is it like a GED?
I've forgotten all this.
GED. Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
And then you do it at 16, and then you do another 2 years at A-levels if you want to kind of go to university or if you just want to do it.
Yeah, so A-levels are at 16 to 18. And then that's before university. And then textiles is like sewing and working with fabric and that kind of stuff.
So how do you make that a standardized test? That's like...
Oh, yeah. I don't know, really. Yeah, I think it's quite subjective, really. Yeah, it's quite subjective.
Where do you get your fashion and makeup inspiration from? Because I always look forward to that every week.
Oh, thank you. That's such a compliment. Mostly I just like colour. So I'm just drawn. So I go into a shop and I'm really drawn to yellow things. So I have to sometimes try and think, I've got enough yellow things. I need to buy other things. So I'm not really wearing any yellow today. I just like browsing and seeing what catches my eye. I don't know where I specifically get the inspiration from. I like watching Drag Race, which is good makeup inspiration, I guess. Just a little bit less. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's it.
Hi. Veer. What would you say is the most rewarding part of Bake Off?
Ooh, the most rewarding part. I would say, for me personally, it was just feeling a lot more confident. So, I don't know, when you have, good remarks about something that you've made, or you feel like you're improving, and I remember the moment I got to the final, I was like, oh my God, I'm here. It's amazing. And yeah, even though there's so many ups and downs, overall it really boosts your confidence because you're like, I've actually done that and stuck around and kept going.
Hello.
Hi.
What's your favorite holiday?
Ooh, my favorite holiday. It's gonna be between Halloween and Christmas. I can't pick between Halloween and Christmas. Both of them. They're both good.
Thank you. Hi there.
Hello.
There's a lot of competition shows on television now. The ones
Mhm.
filmed in America are very different from the ones you were on.
Yeah.
Do you watch any of those? Do you enjoy any of them? If so, which ones?
Oh, so maybe not anything to do with food. I tend not to watch anything to do with food apart from the Bake Off. And even when I watch it now, it's the music brings the stress back. But I have to watch it. Yeah. I feel like I need to, and I do enjoy it once I get into it. But no, not any food competition shows. I really like Drag Race, which is kind of edited a little bit, a bit more, and they kind of create some arguments and stuff there, don't they? And then I quite like, I don't know if you have it, I know you have an equivalent here. It's like a makeup show, and it's called Glow Up in the UK. And I think you might have a version of that. I think it's Face Off. Face Off, yeah. Yeah, but it's called Glow Up in the UK with makeup, and I've been quite enjoying that. I think those are the main ones, like competition shows I watch. Thanks.
Hello. Over here in the corner.
Hello.
I was wondering if you have any plans to do some gluten-free versions of what you create, or some sort of special gluten-free thing that somebody who wants fancy dessert can still create.
Ooh, I would. I've not done a lot of gluten-free baking, but I want to try it a lot more. And quite a lot of people have asked me, what would you recommend in this? Like, what gluten-free flours would you recommend? Because I quite enjoy at the moment experimenting with vegan baking, because I find it really rewarding when you find something that really works. So I think it'd be a similar process with me working with gluten-free baking. So yes, I will look into it. A gluten-free choux pastry would be good. Yeah, and macarons are naturally gluten-free, which is good.
Hi.
And meringues.
Hi.
Hello.
Who do you look up to as a baker?
Oh, who do I look up to as a baker? Do you know, I quite like a lot of people that I follow on Instagram who aren't really big bakers as such, but there's a lot of people who are really talented on there who aren't really that well known. There's a lady she's on Instagram, she's like, does all these like chiffon cakes, and she does like a lot of characters and stuff on there, and I think it's like Susan Deco Chiffon or something like that, and I really like her work. And there's loads of other people too on there. So yeah, I get ideas from a lot of people who aren't like that.
Thanks for bearing with me as I run the mic around.
Hi.
Hello.
What are your favorite macarons to bake or create?
Ooh, favorite macarons.
Yes, I love macarons.
I've been eating a lot of macarons recently. Yeah.
Where have you gone?
I really like the ladurée ones.
Yes,
They're
those are
really good.
Yeah.
They have like the rose flavors and the orange blossom flavors are really nice. And then I had a few others, but they didn't quite. I had one today that wasn't very good. What are my favorite types of macarons? I don't know. Well, if I like doing different things each time, but I like doing like characters and different animals, little cats.
They're really cute.
Yeah, thank you. And I don't know, I'd like to do more like sort of abstract ones as well. And then my favorite flavors are pistachio, rose, orange blossom, orange. I tried a creme brulee one, which was quite nice recently, so I might try replicate that.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
How did you feel when you were runner-up on the show?
I was really, really, really happy to get to the final because I never thought I'd get that far. So I was I remember being in the final, so me and Ruby we were just like, oh, we're here, we're in the final, we're so excited, this is amazing, we can really chill out now. Which probably, whereas Raoul didn't change at all, so he was like super stressed. And we were like, hey, chill out, it's the final, this is amazing. We get to go home and sleep and do nothing for a few days. And being, I you kind of know what's going to happen, and I was just so happy I got there and did what I did. Yes. I mean, I was happy.
Hi, I was wondering, because I saw you had siblings, is there anything your siblings beg you to make? My brothers are always wanting me to send them things all the time.
What do they want me to make most of all? My younger brother Kenneth. So I've got a younger brother called Kenneth and an older brother called Kevin. So we all start with K. I'm not sure why. So he likes me to make. So I made him like a Japanese cotton cheesecake once, and he loves all that kind of stuff. He pretty much just wants me to make anything when he comes to visit, as long as there's some sort of cake around. And then my older brother just eats a lot, so he will just eat anything. Yeah, just anything. I mean, he really does eat a lot. Me and Nabil get sort of food anxiety when we go out with him, because we have big group meals where we all share food, but we're more veggie, whereas the rest of my family all eat meat, but then they kind of eat the veggie food, and then we run out of food, and then we're like, oh no, so we're trying to eat as fast as possible. So yeah.
Hi, I know you said that you're a shy, sort of introverted person, so I'm just wondering how you square with that, with being in the public eye, and what made you want to sort of become a more public figure if you're sort of a private person?
I feel like I've always been really, really quite social anxious. I think I'm a lot better now, and I would have to be doing things like this. And every time I do something like this, I feel a lot more comfortable. I think because initially I wanted to get into working into mental health, because I wanted to help other people, and in a way that kind of helps yourself when you're helping other people. And I never wanted to be a really shy and social anxious person. I always wanted to break out of that and feel like me. So everything I always did was to keep trying. So it was working in mental health and meeting new people every single day and talking to people. I just wanted to do that, even though I found it difficult. And then the Bake Off was another challenge. I was like, oh, next thing I can do, I'll just go on TV. And it just kind of fitted. I mean, it's a nice show and I'm into baking, and I thought, I'll do that. So yes, I still feel like I am still quite socially anxious, and I wouldn't have been able to do this about a year ago, because I get really. So one thing I've started noticing, because I used to do doing these Q&As, and I used to stop being able to breathe very well. So I start holding my breath and then having to take big breaths, and I notice I'm not doing that right now, which is really cool. It might come back now that I'm talking about it. So yeah, let's move on.
We have time for just one more question.
What is your favorite flavor of cake?
Ooh, favorite flavor of cake? I don't know. What's your favorite?
Probably just chocolate.
Chocolate.
Love chocolate.
Chocolate is good. I like rose. I really like rose, and I love pistachio and cardamom. Love pistachio and cardamom. I just like trying new and interesting flavors mostly. Yeah.
Perfect. And so with that, let's give Kim Joy and Cynthia a round of applause.